welcome to a football podcast with myself, Kristian Jack, and Steven Caldwell. Today we chat about Manchester City's win over Crystal Palace, Liverpool's victory over Chelsea, TFC's backline woes in Seattle, the Impact finding a way without Piatti, the Whitecaps and their main rival in MLS, VAR, the Champions VAR, as Ian Dark would say, the Champions League quarterfinals. It's a rainy, sunny day here in Toronto. We just finished watching Chelsea Liverpool. We're streaming the Masters as we speak.
Yeah, sorry if I'm a little bit distant today. I'm keeping an eye on the golf.
We're going to have live updates for you. I know you've listened to this now. You already know who's won, but guess what? We don't know yet. It's raining outside. Hopefully I keep my voice because I'm sick. Playoff time in Toronto. Leafs, Raptors. Shawnee, how's your games? Are you in the playoffs right now?
Yeah, we were in the playoffs.
How'd you do? You had a bye week last week?
Yeah, we won our first leg 2-0.
Nice.
Kept a clean sheet.
Well done, Sean.
Yeah.
Good defending.
Clean sheet's all important for you, of
course. We had the home game.
That's right. That's it.
So we're the away game next one. We're excited. I'm getting chirped though because they're like, "Oh, that's going to miss the podcast."
No, we have to put it in. It's just as important as the first leg as it was about the quarterfinals. But just like Spurs, you won the home leg and kept the clean sheet, so that was important. Everything else good. You know, Raptors, Leafs. So you're not invested in this much, or Raptors? You are, aren't you?
No. Yeah. I'm invested, but we gotta. Okay. It's just another day in Toronto.
Yeah, and you're.
I'm pessimistic to begin with,
but you're a Game of Thrones guy, are you?
Yes.
Game of Thrones, I believe, starts tonight.
Tonight, can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
It, Sean.
Yeah, I've never seen a minute of it. So, sorry, I'm not taking anything away from it. I feel your excitement. I'm more excited about the IndyCar in Long Beach and who's going to win this Masters as we see Brooks Koepka gets as well.
A lot of people love the lead.
Apologise for the consistent updates of the Masters during the show. Let's get to it. City beat Palace, Liverpool beat Chelsea. Well, I mean, this is just magnificent things to watch. Let's go with City because I think chronologically we'll do these two together. But in the end, this was just an absolute cruise, wasn't it, for Manchester City in an environment where we thought perhaps it wouldn't be hostile. An area in the past that's been a bit of a graveyard for City and particularly Liverpool. We have to say 5 years ago to the day when obviously City went to Palace and won, Liverpool lost to Chelsea. It's just a fixtureless, quirk again that they threw that up. But in the end, there was absolutely zero doubt from whistle to whistle that this was not going to be 3 points for City.
Yeah, it was an absolute stroll in the capital, wasn't it, for Manchester City? They just came into Selhurst Park and had their own way for the majority of the match. It was too easy at times. I think as I looked over at Pep Guardiola, that was the only thing that I felt, KJ. There was a bit of anxiety in his face, not because of the way his side were playing, but just because they were that far ahead and it was still only 1-0 for a long period of the game. Dominant. Quality all round. De Bruyne was magnificent, played a bit deeper. He was sort of in that quarterback role and spraying passes and looking like the De Bruyne of old. I thought he was tremendous, and his ball for the first goal of Raheem Sterling was sublime.
Yeah.
The weight of it.
Perfect ball. You wanted to just run onto it, no?
It was perfect, wasn't it? It wasn't too far. It wasn't too short. It just slowed down at the right time when Sterling was getting up and running and getting his speed up. And after a bad miss with his left foot maybe 5-10 minutes before to put it away like that and to get his second with that left foot, and it just shows the evolution of the player. To me, Van Dijk's amazing, and maybe I know voting comes in before the end of the season.
Not on ours. We've got top 50. You can keep your voting for a while.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so when it comes to player of the year, to me, who wins is really important. But also when you're a creative player, we know Van Dijk's amazing, but it's so difficult to score goals and to keep your levels up. Sterling's just been outstanding. I think he just gets my award at the moment, for sure. He's just been so good. Left foot finish for the second I thought was brilliant. Just guided it. Looked easier than what it was to guide it back into the side of the net. And up until Milivojevic's free kick, it was just so easy for them. I was very disappointed in Palace. What about you? I just thought they stood off. I was surprised that Benteke played. I feel like something maybe happened between Batshuayi and Hodgson.
Yeah, didn't even bring him on at that crucial moment in the second half.
I watched his pre-game on one of his interview with Sky Sports, and he said, I'm playing Benteke because he's one of our players and Batshuayi's on loan. And I found it really weird. I thought maybe something had happened behind the scenes. I'm just speculating here, but to not bring him on as well, I thought it was a strange decision. Then not to bombard the ball forward towards Benteke, play to his strengths. They just stood off City. They gave them the freedom of the park, and they got well beat for it. Yeah,
Liverpool thought that they'd exercise the demons of that Benteke era, but unfortunately for them, it carried on for one more day because when they needed him, once again, absolutely, utterly useless.
He got zero service, but he didn't play well at all.
Come on, it runs off the ball. It's just non-existent.
I was shocked by the entire Palace side.
They were very, very.
They stood off KJ. They gave them far too much respect.
They've not been good at home all year, to be fair.
No, that's true.
That's one area, but no, I'm with you. They weren't great. But you're right. There's an element, though, is there not, of so many opponents playing City this year in the Premier League, and that just being the same kind of theme.
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't believe before they hit the ball.
Yeah, and they're so good. They are so good. What a team.
Yeah.
I mean, the way they keep the ball, the way they rotate and they move, and nobody's ever overindulgent on the ball. It's 1-2 touch and it moves around and it gets into a wide area, and maybe the two guys that are allowed, or three, you could say David Silva as well, but the wide guys are then allowed to express themselves, and Sané was excellent.
He was.
He's been sort of out of favour, hasn't he? He's not really been in the starting 11 for a while, and to get the nod today I thought was a big thing, and he proved his manager right, because he was at it. He was a Sané that we expect. We know mentally he can be a little bit off at times, but when he's like that, he's one of the best wingers in the world. And Sterling, we've said already, the consistency's been remarkable.
Yeah, they keep finding different players to step up at that level. I thought De Bruyne, as you said, again, it looks back to his best.
Yeah.
Healthy and fit, after his long layoff. Had 2 significant layoffs this season.
Yeah.
So really, I don't think we've really seen anywhere near the best of him.
No.
You're not close. But now I think we are seeing the best of him. I watched it today and I tweeted a little bit similar to this. I remember doing the game when his very first game, when he came on in the first half, at Selhurst Park back in 2015. And immediately the big thing he brought to City was that exit pass in transition. Immediately was that first pass, as soon as they win the ball, and go. And his instinct, as soon as they win the ball and go. And I thought that, that's what he brought to City. Today wasn't really about that. Today was just, it wasn't even about the transitional moments, although the third goal was pretty quick in terms of that. But other than that, it was a dominant performance. I thought maybe this weekend going in that one of these teams wouldn't win. I just thought if this was maybe the weekend that it wouldn't. That's not the case. Liverpool also won against Chelsea. I prepared a bunch of notes. My notebook's in the other room. I don't need it. I forget it now. But not necessarily just for this podcast, but maybe in the future. I did a lot of stuff this week, researching teams who've won the Premier League that have spent a lot of time behind in games.
Okay.
And if City win this league, I'm pretty sure and comfortable in saying they're going to set a record in terms of the least amount of games and least amount of minutes they've been behind in the Premier League. So we'll see. And right now, history tells me, looking at it, that the title winner is Liverpool in terms of what they've had to do and come through deficits.
Yeah.
Many times teams have to go through deficits, and I think they've got 16 points from losing positions this year. City don't have any. I think they've got one.
Yeah.
The Laporte goal against Wolves. So 2 teams doing things very, very differently. Today, Liverpool didn't go behind, but they weren't great for 45 minutes. It was an average performance in the first half. But they were very good in the second half. That being said, I don't think the first half performance was that bad, and I certainly don't think it was edgy. And I think it might help them, the fact that City won. And bear with me here, because I just think if City hadn't have won, the entire place and the atmosphere would be different. Tense. I don't see this. Everyone's expecting this tension from Liverpool. Everyone's expecting this anxiety and to go where they've never been before in this shadow of 29 years. And we haven't seen that really. We see it from the fans, and I'm sure there's anxiety every time Liverpool fans watch the game, whether it be around the world on your couch or in the stadium at Anfield. But we're not seeing that, importantly, from the players. And it's almost like I feel like they're enjoying it. Okay, City have won again. All right, well, they're a point ahead of us. Let's go out and just match them. We know we're as good as them. We'll keep going and keep going. And look, the outcome they want is to win the league. But right now, what they're doing week in, week out, I don't see any tension.
I don't see it either. I think it was there maybe 5-6 games ago, and I don't know what's happened inside the changing room or between Klopp and the players, but it's gone. It's gone, and it's been replaced by a determination that we've never seen from 2 rivals. I think they understand the greatness of the team they're going up against, and they believe in their own greatness. And let me tell you, they have many players with extreme qualities, but they have this determination to make City fight for every single victory and every single point. And I think that it's, to reference, the first game, who's first, who's second, is obviously important because it does have an effect, but I think it affects us more, journalists, pundits, analysts. It affects us more, KJ, than it does the 2 teams that are playing, because they're so mentally in tune with what their jobs are. I almost think they don't really care. They just know they have to do their own jobs, and they're doing that to such a level. It was phenomenal to watch. I was very impressed with Liverpool today. Yeah, I know they weren't cutting Chelsea open in the first half, and attacks were maybe breaking down.
They're
at
in
times.
control though, weren't they?
Absolute control the entire game. Great point. Couple of breakaways from City where again the intensity to defend and get red shirts round about the player was impressive, and to have the control, there was movement, there was real energy in the team, and they just weren't creating chances against a very well set up defensive side. We saw Chelsea lately being very good at getting numbers behind the ball and frustrating teams, and it was the case today for the first half. But you just knew that once that breakthrough was going to come, if it came from Liverpool, they weren't going to relinquish the 3 points. They were going to move on from there, and to come in quick succession with 2 wonderful goals. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think they know at this point, they have so much confidence that they knew going into that game that they could reach a level that wasn't possible for this Chelsea group to reach.
Yeah.
And if they reached that level, they'd won the game. And that's what they did, and eventually as a lot of Liverpool games have become, it gathers a way to get there. And then there's the ultimate crescendo. I think City are a little bit different. I think they just come out, and a lot of times they score a lot of early goals. Okay, game's over. Liverpool take a little bit longer to get into the stride. It's still equally as successful.
Yeah.
And then they build and build and build, and then as soon as we got that one goal, we thought, okay, this second one needs to come soon.
Yeah.
And it did, and the second goal from Mo Salah was what that needed at that time. What an incredible goal.
I just want to pick up on your point there before, where that them doing their own jobs and just focusing on that. I think that's very important to see that these two teams know they're better than everybody else. So to me, that's probably a big part of every team talk that Klopp and Guardiola give. Go out there, and if we're at our level, we win this game, and that's the end of the story. And so that confidence and assurance and key trigger points, what it takes to be at that level, starting the game properly. City do it every single game. Liverpool starting the game on the front foot, no anxiety. We're seeing that just all the time now from these two guys, and it's impressive. The second goal was just remarkable. We commented when we were watching it, you don't normally see him come inside and strike it like that, do you? I think we were shocked that he went for the power. Yes, he'll come in a bit closer and he'll try the curler, but he often likes to play into Firmino or Mane if he's came inside and look for that little intricate 1-2 between the lines. But this time he just saw it open up. He unleashed a ferocious left foot shot, just magnificent strike. Aris Balaga had no chance of diving for it, but he knew from the minute it left Salah's boot he wasn't going to get to it. And what a moment, coming on the back of the relief of the first goal, to score a goal like that. It was amazing. You just wanted to be there, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Feel that live in the stadium.
Yeah, I felt like he had a lot of confidence today. It was clearly a guy who'd scored the week before, and his work rate was terrific. All in all, I thought every play was very good for Liverpool, but you could see that when he cut inside, I don't think he takes that shot if he hadn't scored the week before. I feel like he was almost had a weight of lifted off his shoulders again, and he felt like, okay, now we've got the goal, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Equally the first goal was terrific. Henderson involved again. It has to be said, a word about him getting forward a lot more than he has. Klopp's, pursued that over the last few weeks to get him a little bit more heavily involved in the game. And I think that's important because you've got today, obviously Wijnaldum didn't play from the start, but when you've got Keita and you've got Fabinho, you've got Milner to come on and do a job, you need that extra thrust a little bit from midfield. It's clear that Shaqiri's not been the man for weeks and weeks now. He's just pushed him aside. Shaqiri's like, whatever's gone on there, he can't rely on him. So he's asked his other players who he can rely on to provide that extra oomph to the front three, and they delivered. Firmino was terrific again on the run, but as we said, Sadio Mane, man for the moment, he continues to get goals, and we talk about Sterling with 18 goals for Mane now as well.
Yeah, remarkable. Mane was terrific. Firmino, I'm glad you mentioned him because I thought he was everywhere. I thought he was really important to the overall energy of the performance and of the team. But Henderson's a guy that you just have to admire, much criticised for what he can't do. We're always going on about Henderson. He can't do this, can't play that kind of pass. He's not like this player or that player. And what we forget is the mental strength of the lad, his winning mentality, everything he brings from the other side of the game. And it's been a difficult season for him. He's been out in and out of the team. He's a club captain. I've been there myself. I know what that's like, KG.
Yeah.
You never like being left out when you're the club captain, because everybody has a little look and thinks, well, why are we not playing our captain? It's been like that for Henderson at times, and he was the one from reports that went to Klopp and said, play me further forward, get me in the team. And credit to him, because I think he saw the emergence of Fabinho as that the best lying deep midfield player, and he's looking at it probably going, okay, how am I going to get in this team here? Well, I can actually do a job further forward. I watched this lad playing a youth cup tie for Sunderland many years ago. He was only a kid, and he played wide right then. He was a sort of winger.
That's right, yeah.
He scored a goal that night at Stadium of Light, and we knew he was a great prospect at Sunderland at the time. So, he can, and he has played further forward. He doesn't have the skill like other players, but he has the running ability and the grit and the intelligence to get into areas. That's exactly what he did. And then he found a perfect ball to Mane at the right time. And, just a wonderful performance by Liverpool. I can't think of a player that wasn't at it today again. Alexander-Arnold, the composure, the ability to play the long 60, 70 yard crossfield balls, to get forward, balls into the box.
One of the best right backs in the world, mates.
He really is. He's outstanding, isn't he? And he's only going to get better.
Only going to get better.
He is.
Yeah.
And you can't see a fault in his game.
No.
The only thing that I see being a bit of a fault is his inexperience and his naivety. So that's going to improve.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to get quicker. He doesn't need to make better decisions.
It's only time can only do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So time will make him become this incredible right back if he's not there already. And I know you like him. You think he'll play centre mid at times as well.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. He can do just about anything, but I just love his composure. He's out there in the field. The pressure's high. He's a young lad. And he just got his chest out, isn't he? He just looks like he belongs here. He belongs on that level of world football. Yeah,
producing your own talent and second to none when it comes to it. Think about City. They had a problem at right back. They went and spent £50 million on what they thought was the best English right back at the time. Well, I think Liverpool have got the best English right back now for me. I mean, Walker's still done well.
Walker was excellent today. He was very good today.
No, he's done great. He's got a lot of good things, and he's proven to me a lot more over the last 2 or 3 seasons than I thought he had. When City bought him, I thought he was an okay to average. When I'm talking about, I mean within the world quality of right backs. I'm not saying about as a player. But yeah, he has been, and to be fair to him, he was dropped early this season when he had that really poor performance, and he's come back and he's proven, showing a lot of character to Guardiola as well.
Yeah, Pep's challenged him, hasn't he? Yeah. Like he has Sterling and many other players maybe challenging Sané at the moment. We're not in the inner sanctum, but it looks like he's asking Sané for more. So you're not going to play unless you give me more. And it was a bit like that for Walker, where I felt like he was challenging him. No more sloppy mistakes, no more lapses in concentration. You need to be at this level every single week if you want to be one of the best fullbacks in the world and play for a team like us. And he's done that. I thought he was terrific today. He still has that kind of lax performance in him, unfortunately, but in the main, he's a terrific player, and the future's looking very good for England with Walker and Trent Alexander-Arnold battling out for right back.
Great times ahead, no doubt. I think Tiger Woods has just put one right by the pin.
Tiger's a leader, mate.
Is he winning?
He's a leader.
Is he winning? I can see you getting very distracted and excited. It's fine. We're here for you, mate. We're here for your obsession with the Masters. We can talk about it if you need to. If you need to interrupt your analysis, you're not live on television or anything. You're not calling 3 MLS games.
I'd be watching if I was live on television.
You're not calling 3 MLS games in less than 24 hours. Oh, wait, that was the last 48 hours. Before we move on to MLS, mark us on hashtag AskAFP, and a reminder, please send those in anytime we read them all. Asks, can Manchester City really win their next 3 games? Spurs twice and Manchester United. Obviously, Spurs Champions League. They lost the first leg 1-0 at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Play them in the second leg this week, and then play them again at home in the first game of the Premier League weekend on Saturday morning here in North America, and then followed by the Manchester United on the 24th. Look, if they beat Spurs and Man United in the Premier League, we think they're slight favourites now. Well, we have to say that because they're going to have that one game in hand. I think if they win them 2, it's going to be very difficult to stop them. What do you think?
I don't think either of these teams will drop a point.
So you think City are going to win?
I think City will win with 98 points and Liverpool will be second with 97. I think they're that good.
Right.
And so, yes, obviously these next 3 games are vitally important. I think they'll win all 3. I do. I just think they're too good, and Spurs are a great team. Manchester United's a derby. It'll be difficult. They'll be deep and hard to beat, and the crowd are going to cheer and roar every single tackle and clearance and moment for Manchester United. Is going to be a great game, but I just don't think that that City will slip up personally.
Interesting. Yeah, the way they played today, it's hard to argue with that. I think they've got a slip up in them. I still think one of the 5 games they're not going to win. I think one of the 5 games. A reminder, they play, obviously, as we said, those 2 games, Tottenham at home, Manchester United away. To follow after that is Burnley away, Leicester at home on the very first game of Saturday, the 4th, and then they finish at the Amex against, right now, just a dismal Brighton team who got thumped 5-0 this weekend. So if it gets to the last game of the season, and they still have won every game and it's down to the 1 game between each other, they'll be odds on favourite by then. Of course. Enormous favourites by then. I don't think we'll be seeing an enormous slip up like a QPR or something.
So do you think the slip up will come in obviously the next two, the hardest games?
Potentially. I still think Burnley away is a challenge. Leicester at home is a challenge, an early kick-off game coming off a very difficult Champions League semi-final time as well. So there's a lot of games to navigate here.
Of course.
I did think that, I'm not here to put my own tyres. I did think they'd struggle against Tottenham, and they did. I wasn't surprised at all. And we both said it. We both said it.
It was a tough game.
We thought that they'd have a tough game. Also, let's talk about Tottenham. Let's talk about Toronto against Seattle in our other game before we get to some MLS stuff.
Okay.
One of the games you did this weekend, I did the studio game as well. In the end, it proved to be the first loss of the season for TFC. Seattle Sounders 3, Toronto FC 2. 2 very good goals for TFC.
Yeah.
The theme here for me is that Toronto FC are going to have no problem scoring goals all season long, similar to last year, maybe even better than last year in terms of opening teams up. Despite, I still think, a very unbalanced attack. We can get into that if you want as well. But they are, and I know they played one of the best teams in Major League Soccer. They're going to struggle to keep these balls out of the net. Yeah,
they are going to struggle. I think I said it in the broadcast. It's not just about the defenders. I think it's about the entire mentality to defend from the team. And I see too many guys run off the back of midfielders. And I was kind of critical of the midfield, especially for the 3rd goal. And I watched it back, KJ, and they let the guy go. And I was a bit harsh, but Mavinga, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he doesn't come over.
Right.
He stands in the middle. He sees the runners come. And I think like a defender, of course, because I was a defender. And I just don't know why he doesn't come over in that gap. So if I'm Michael Bradley or Delgado or Osorio, who I think were closest to the ball as midfielders, I'm asking him, why are you not coming over there? That being said, if I'm a midfielder, I know Chris Mavinga has lapses in concentration and is prone to make defensive errors. So I stay with my runner. And it's that mentality to defend and the need and the want to defend, especially in places like Seattle, that I think make TFC unstuck. That's the thing. You go into Seattle, you know that you're purring along as an attack. You've shown in the early stages you can hurt this team. Do your job, stay with runners, talk, communicate, make sure you're solid defensively, and chances will come. But I still see a team that, we'll defend, but we really want to attack. And that to me is going to be a problem.
It's dangerous, no?
Yeah, it's dangerous as they play the better teams.
It's dangerous, and it's also, is it not a little naive, because you've got Pozuelo, you've got Altidore, and I think you could open up a team anyway.
Yeah.
So is it not one of those? I don't want to turn them into being something they're not. Greg Vanney's teams is never going to be defensively resolute, play in transition, play counter attack, open up the game with Altidore, and he's got an identity there, and every credit that he's carved that for himself. But when you've got that amount of that firepower up front, you've got to be able to. I think now the next job of this entire franchise is to figure that out. I'm going to be saying this a lot, and I watch a lot of Major League Soccer. Right now, there's a clear MLS 1 and MLS 2. You know, I love talking about this.
You're right,
okay, if TFC play an MLS 2 team at home, and they're going to play a lot of them, they're going to be fine, mate.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine. They're going to stroll through the game. They might give up a mishap. They might have a mistake. They're going to concede. If they play a top half MLS 1 team on the road, they're going to get opened up significantly. If they play them at home, they could as well. And there's 7 or 8 teams out there right now that I think will be challenged, that could challenge them. And if TFC want to become one of those teams, that's the next step for me. I also think that the recruitment has to be questioned. Now, Pozuelo's over the line. You got it done, and you've got all the plaudits. Congratulations. You've talked about it enough. Okay. when is this team going to sign a player who can play as an attacking player in a wide area?
Yeah.
And I'm saying wide area for a reason. This team has never had a true winger. And okay, people would say scream at the radio, no, scream at the podcast, but what's a winger anymore? Okay, if you don't want a winger, go get your manager a proper attacking wide player and get him yesterday.
Yeah.
Because Greg Vanny hasn't had one. And I actually feel for Greg a little bit. He came out last year in the press conference and said, we want to play a little bit different. We get a wide players.
Yeah.
We're going to get more wide players. That's what he wanted, right? What did they do? What have they done so far? Nick De Leon. Where did they play him on the weekend? In the end, they had to play him right back.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get another right back because your right back's injured. So you've got one right back in the entire squad that you're covering by a midfielder, right? Richie Laray, okay, comes in. That's not the long-term solution to play right back either. So you one wide player that you bought, you're playing at right back because you haven't got any more cover for him. And then in the second half, when you change shape, you're playing your two wide players are Jonathan Osorio and Jay Chapman.
Yeah.
They're not wide players.
No.
So then what do? You have to bring on Ashton Morgan
and
just
Morrow
to bring
goes
width.
wide left.
Just to bring width.
Yeah.
You know, and Morrow, so do you know what I'm saying? They're still chasing this after all these years.
Yeah, I know.
Now I know they're looking to get one, and there's lots of rumors out there, but get it done quick, because Victor Rodriguez is not a wide player, but he outplayed him, and that's the kind of player you need.
Oh, Victor Rodriguez was terrific. I thought him and Ladero were absolutely brilliant for Seattle. But I'm with you. We've been saying, well, not just us, Greg Vanny's been saying for a year or two that he wants that type of player. And so you question why he's not came in.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the problem is. I mean, it's always hard to get quality players and you're trying to fit it into a salary budget, but it's exactly the type of player that they need. A Victor Rodriguez, a really creative wide guy who drifts inside, shows that ability to play between the lines. And Pozzuelo is good at that. He's not a wide guy, he's number 10, but he is good at drifting between the lines. But they need more, and they need someone else. And you've just laid out the issues that they have. You're asking Morrow, who has already been tried in that higher position that never really worked. Again, you're asking them to go up there. De Leon is playing in a fullback position, so you're putting guys in areas that they're not most natural in. I think it's a big problem. I think that they need more creativity in attacking areas, and no disrespect to Marco Delgado, but he's not creative. He's a runner. He's a guy who can plug holes and get into areas and stretch teams because of his ability to get around the field to create space for other people.
Yes.
If I'm a team in one of the top teams in MLS, tier 1, as you call it, KJ, MLS 1 tier, top team, I allow Delgado the space. 100%. I know he's not going to hurt me. I 100%. Make sure I've got guys next to Pozzuelo.
Because he's not a Roldan, is he?
No, he's not. And Roldan can do both, can't he?
Yeah.
You know? So they're missing that as well. I still think, look, here's what I think. The West is really strong. So that's great for TFC, because yes, they're going to have to go on road trips and play West teams in the regular season, but they're not going to play a West team till potentially the final.
Right.
And the East to me is really average this year.
Yeah.
I think DC have many deficiencies, more than TFC. Montreal have many deficiencies, more than TFC. I'm picking the teams here I think are going to be decent. Red Bulls are the same.
Yeah.
Atlanta have had a slow start.
Yep.
Columbus are pretty consistent.
Yep.
They may be their strongest challenger. But I think TFC can win the Eastern Conference.
Right.
Even with the problems that we've mentioned. And so then you go through a playoff campaign that you say you could get into an MLS Cup. And then in an MLS Cup, I think they're probably going to play a team that are better than them, but it's a one-off game.
Of course.
And we've saw what can happen in 16 and 17 with MLS Cups when you don't have to be the best team and lift the trophy at the end of the day. So I think that really works in their favour. But if they want to be in the discussion with LAFC, Seattle, I'm missing the other one in the West, Kansas City, these kind of guys, I think they need to improve. I think they need the wide players, and I think they need to change mentality and what it means to defend. Really believe that it's just as important to defend as it is to attack. If they do that, they're going to be one of the best teams.
Yeah, great points. Two quick things before we get to Shawnee's headlines and a Tiger Woods update. TFC Seattle, two more things I want to talk about quickly. One is on the shape and one is on the goalkeeper. Let's do the shape briefly because we just talked about the personnel there. He went away from the 3-5-2 at half time, something he's done consistently, by the way. He's changing shape at half time in Greg Vanny. I said on the opening goal that I thought, the opening Seattle goal, that I thought that that with Smith coming forward, De Leon didn't know where to go because Rodriguez is so high. So what he needed is he needed somebody else to come in there. In the end, it was almost like the back four was because the fullbacks were it became a back five.
Yeah.
He needed somebody else in midfield to play ahead with Smith because all Seattle did was just bomb on their fullbacks, Smith and Leerdam, who were two of their strengths anyway, and push De Leon and Morrow deeper and deeper. So it didn't work.
Yeah.
Did you think that? And do you think that this 3-5-2 is getting less and less going to be used by TFC?
Yes, it'll be less and less used. I don't think Greg Vanney believes in it. I think there's many problems with it. He plays it because he wanted to get Simon in the team. It was the wrong choice of formation, in my opinion, against Seattle. Lodero and Rodriguez, who I've mentioned, were brilliant. Morris drifts into that area, becomes a second striker at times. Yeah. There's too much movement. I would have went 4-3-3. If you go 4-3-3, it's difficult to find the right position for Pozzuelo. You need to ask him to play wide. So I can understand why they didn't do that. But to me, if you're thinking defensively, and this seems to be the theme here, you play a formation that combats Seattle's attacking flair, especially away from home.
Yeah. And
that might seem negative to a lot of people, but that's how I think. Against one of the best teams, you need to think defensively first. Pick a formation for that. I wouldn't have picked 3-5-2, 3-6-1, whatever you want to call it, because Pozzuelo was deeper than Jose Altidore, and it didn't work. And then he changes it, but it was still like putting guys into areas, wasn't it?
Yeah, because then you got Osorio and Chapman trying to bring some width, and it just didn't work.
No, it didn't work at all. Chapman couldn't get on the ball. He's not a wide player. Felt for him a little bit. Osorio ends up, he was drifting inside too much, so the Morrow solution came where he had to play wider. Yeah, I think that the formation is a problem. I don't like the chopping and changing. Modern football, you drift between formations. I get it. But I think when you're going from wholesale changes, 3-5-2, 3-4-2-1 to 4-5-1, 4-4-2, I just think there's too much confusion there. And no disrespect to MLS standard players, but it's different if you ask a City to go from that kind of fluid formation. They guys can play everywhere. They know it. I think simple is better for a lot of MLS teams, and with TFC, I think they should pin down their formation. 4-2-3-1 seems to be the one, and stick to it and work at that and become really good at that, so that when you're playing other teams, they think, oh, how do we combat this formation at TFC?
Yeah, like Columbus have an identity in that system.
And it's consistent.
We know every time they're going to play that system. And your players start to know and get comfortable in those positions. I actually feel sorry for Osorio a little bit, because I think he's played in 3 different positions already inside this season.
Yeah.
And I still don't think that they're necessarily finding the best out of him, and they need to make a decision. They need to make a decision, because that winger's coming.
Yeah.
So where do you play him? And that's an interesting one. The other decision they need to make is in goal. Steve P asks on hashtag AskAFP, is Alex Bono's confidence shot now that Vestberg got a game? Can't speak for knowing what Alex's confidence is. I'm sure it was a blow. I'm sure he didn't expect it. We saw this coming because he's played Clint Irwin there in Seattle 2 years ago. He likes to play his backup goalkeepers in West Coast games sometimes. We asked Greg Vanney this very question about whether it was a long term, and he didn't necessarily commit either way. He just said, we want to give Q, as he called him, Quinton Westberg, an opportunity to play. I can understand that. He felt like it was a West Coast game. So I guess the biggest question of all, if we're trying to think about this, is Friday night Minnesota, who's in goal?
Good question.
That's the big question, is it not?
I don't think we can answer it if we were inside Greg Vanney's head at the moment. I think he's still maybe debating who that is.
I think he might be debating.
I think Westberg was pretty solid. I thought he should have did better for Roldan's goal, the third goal. Being really critical, he could have stayed up a bit taller, but great with the ball at his feet, pretty consistent, wasn't he, KJ?
Good distribution, yeah.
Looked good, couple of saves you would expect him to make, but held on to the ball, and looks like he's a guy with a lot of confidence. And I don't know about Alex's confidence being shot, but it's definitely low.
It has to be lowered.
Yeah.
Does it not?
Yeah. Well, it depends how he's messaged. Look, it's definitely lowered, because even when the manager pulls you for 30 minutes and tells you, okay, I'm making this change, even if he tells you 4 days before, you're still disappointed, and you're thinking about it when you get home. And hopefully that's what happened. Now, if he hears on a Friday night in the hotel, and it's, a bit of a case of I'm giving Westberg a game,
Yeah.
then it is a big problem, and it's not good at all for Alex Bono. But you'd like to think that Greg Vanney's managed this better than that, because a goalkeeper's confidence is always paramount when you're chopping and changing between two.
Yeah, and I just think the benefit of the doubt factor for him is lowered now, because if he's in Friday and he makes a mistake, everyone's going to go, well, okay, well, we've got this other guy now.
Yeah.
Before, he was oblivious to many people.
Yeah.
Now he's there and he's played. So it just, whether he's in Friday night or not, the pressure's on him.
Definitely.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
Tiger's on the green, I think.
Tiger's on 17.
He's on
here.
17,
Yeah,
okay.
I think he's in the lead by 2, I think.
Is he?
Yes.
Well, we'll try and get this through to you before then. Over to Tiger's on the green.
Everybody listening to this knows the result.
Yeah, they're going to enjoy that a little bit more. Over to Shawnee with headlines.
Thanks, KJ. We're going to keep within MLS for the first little bit. Vancouver continues to struggle with VAR, as you said off the top, but came up with a point on the road in a very ugly soccer match. So I have a question for you guys. Do you guys want to talk about VAR again? Or do you want to break down this match in a windy Friday night Chicago?
I can't possibly break down this match again. It was hard enough live, KJ.
Yeah, you did well, mate. You did an incredible job. It was a terrible game of football. It's really, MLS 2, sorry, relegation battle MLS 2.
Yeah.
At that point, let's talk about the goal, that we're talking about, the big controversial. Daniil Henry is a defender, goes to defend the ball, makes his body a little bit bigger, opens his arms up a little bit, ball hits arm, game continues. About 45 seconds later, the video assistant referee makes a call to the referee in question and says, I think you should review this. It's a handball. At that point, the pictures of the home broadcast go to a substitution on for a number of times. We don't see what happened for a while. I don't even believe that the referee went to the monitor. And at that point, he points to the spot. We don't know that for sure. But that was what we know. And then we see a couple of very inconclusive replays that we would hope were not the only things that the VAR saw.
Yeah.
We've done some homework here. We tried to put some calls together. We haven't figured out too much, but it appears that the VAR would have seen video evidence that was not shown on the broadcast. So we're basically going into this a little bit blind, aren't we?
We really are.
It's already, sorry to interrupt, it's already an incredibly subjective rule.
Yeah.
The incident itself is incredibly subjective. We do not have too much evidence to say it, although what we can say is what we saw, based on what we saw, the high threshold that Pro puts on its referees to whether it comes to overturning, I think we couldn't overturn it. It wasn't a clear and obvious error.
Yeah.
That's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, I'll try and let you know what I was thinking at live at the time, KJ, as there was terror coming through my voice, because, you're at the mercy of the pictures and they were inconclusive. And so I'm always trying to be very clear on my opinion. I don't ever want to sit in a fence. And my opinion from what I saw was that there was no way it was a handball. But you're right that if the video assisted referee came in and asked the referee to change his opinion or go to the screen after seeing the pictures that we saw, then it was an absolutely ludicrous decision, because there was not clear and obvious error there from the referee. It looked like it may have come off Daniil Henry's chest. The only thing that suggests that it was his arm was the movement in the right arm as it kind of coiled back because of the impact of the ball. But to me, the pictures that I was seeing, it did look like it was his chest, and that arm potentially could have went back from the ball coming off the chest as well. Yeah. Maybe not quite as much as it did. I was just in an awful position, and let's talk about that. We've mentioned that, but let's talk about now the rule and the clarity or lack of surrounding the rule of handball in the box. And
it's happening almost every time. I mean, we saw it Danny Rose in the Champions League. We saw it in our game on the Premier League on the weekend, when obviously there's controversy in the Cardiff game.
Yeah.
When the ball had the Ben Mee twice. Yep. One looked like a handball to us, wasn't given. One that wasn't looked like a handball to us was given and then was overturned by the referee. So it's a convoluted rule.
It's a scary point for the game of football. We're at a real worrying time for me, KJ, with the technology of video review. We both agree on it. We think it has to come in. There's many rules that have become antiquated because of that technology, and this is the biggest one and the most controversial because it happens in the box. Penalties are given and penalties are usually scored. So it needs to be changed. It needs to be clarified. Is every time it touches your hand in the box, a penalty kick? Is it if your hand's in an unnatural position? Is it if the ball's going towards the goal? There's many factors that we need to decide on what's decided here. And to me, if we are going to go in that, I always think, this is my opinion, I can only give that, is that it's a handball if your hand's in an unnatural position. If the ball is going to seriously affect the goalkeeper. Hard to tell if it's on target, but if you're looking at it going, okay, there's some pace on that, it's going towards the goal, it potentially could go in the back of the net, then it's a handball. Anything else to me should not be given. Daniel Henry's hand in that instance was in an unnatural position, but to me, Katai's shot was never going to trouble Kripo in the goals. It potentially wasn't even going to go on target because he was sort of hooking it over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, and the distance between the ball and Henry's arm has to be recognised, was so close that to me, it should never have been a penalty kick.
Right.
But that's only my opinion, KJ.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the rule states, fact or fiction, you know.
Well, the fact it doesn't state fact or fiction. It's open. That's the problem. It's open to interpretation so much that's what it leads to. And look, it's a complicated situation. You did your best, and that's all we can ask for.
Montreal Impact had a busy week, got 4 points out of 6 against DC United and the Columbus Crew, all without their star Ignacio Piatti. Is this Montreal team going to be team to be reckoned with in the East?
I think they need Piatti back to be truly reckoned with in the East, but it's been a decent week for them. You know, they're defensively very, very solid. First off, Columbus were the better side by a mile, but we talk about TFC defensive mindset. They do have it, and they're very comfortable with you having the ball, and they don't believe that you can break them down. They had that mishap 7-1 in Sporting Kansas City where they got away from that. They pressed a little bit, and it wasn't necessarily, I thought, a very intelligent game plan.
No.
But most of the time, I use that word again, they do have an intelligent game plan, and they manage games well. And when they come under pressure, they've got a good goalkeeper in MLS, and they don't wilt. And I think that's an important characteristic.
It is a very important characteristic, and I think that they do need Ignacio Piatti to be truly dangerous on the break. That's obviously clear. He's been such a talisman for them for a number of years now. But I think that in a short-term basis, they can still win games without him just because of that defensive solidity. And they're a team that have many attributes, many things to like about them. And maybe we're heading towards what was obviously the best two-legged series in MLS history of 2016 between TFC and Montreal Impact, because wouldn't that be a terrific game? You have the defensive shape of the Impact, the fragility defensively of TFC, but the ability to open teams up and attacks. It's not a crazy thing to think that the best two teams in the East are Montreal and TFC.
Right.
I don't think that there's a lot between 3 or 4 teams, but TFC and Montreal have the potential to get better, and I like how Montreal go about their business. I thought Lovitz was brilliant at the weekend. Ratala was excellent. Piet's just solid. 7, 8 out of 10 every single game. You know what you're going to get. Breaks things down. Azera's starting to play better. Ty Dare's a little bit hit and miss, but he has a bit of creativity. Many things to like. Only thing I question is their depth. We're seeing that with the absence of Piatti, but a good team.
Speaking of death and the Impact, they're reportedly in talks to sign Champions League star Omar Browne. Thoughts on the potential move?
Well, I think that helps him too, because he will be very good in talking about fitting in the profile of a team. That's perfect for them in a transition. When they do, he's rapid, he brings a good left foot. So a lot to like about the move, and I think it looks like he's already there. It looks like it's done. Yeah. And they need, that's the area they need strengthening in those wide areas. Yeah,
they do need the quality in the wide areas. We were mentioning that when we did our Impact special at the start of the season. We felt that was maybe a midfielder, but one of the other positions was a wide guy to replace the Uruguayan lad that left.
Yeah, Silva.
Because he was playing a good game for them last season. Browne is going to be exciting. He's playing the opposite wing from Piatti and does a similar thing, cuts inside, left-footed. Not seen a great deal of him, but lot to like from the TFC games and the KC games. So let's see how he settles in, but I think it'll be a good signing.
Mark Anthony Kaye scored his second goal of the season for LAFC as his return continues to be a success. What is Mark Anthony Kaye's ceiling? Could he be an MLS All-Star?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think he's one of the best midfielders right now playing on the best team in Major League Soccer. So him and Atuesta have a wonderful partnership. They do a lot of things terrifically well. They work really well together. The work rate's exceptional between the two of them, but they've also got technical quality as well. Atuesta's a real special player.
Yeah.
But Mark Anthony Kaye, he's got his goals from set pieces already this season. Got a good head on his shoulders. He isn't even at the level yet, fitness-wise, from his injury that he believes he's at. But, he's just growing from strength to strength. And again, another example of a player in a good system and a very good team with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, a lot of confidence and a lot of quality players round about him. You see that confidence growing week in, week out. Many things I like about his game. Powerful lad, good runner, starting to bring some goals into his game. Can really marshal that midfield and has a nice left foot. And I like how nothing's too square and safe with him. He likes to play forward passes as well. And I agree with you, KJ, that Atuesta and Kaye is a very smart, powerful midfield, young, dynamic, and really is the base to a lot of successful things that happen for LAFC. Vela and Rossi and Blessing played a sort of midfield position last night at the weekend. He was terrific against Cincinnati. But they're the base to allow the more creative guys to go and work their magic, and I think they're two of the best young players in MLS.
I agree.
The first leg of the Champions League quarterfinals have come and gone. Thoughts on the first leg, and then how do you feel going into the second leg?
Liverpool 2, Porto 0 was as comfortable as I thought it would be, although I thought Porto would give them a bit more of a game. Spurs 1, City 0. Let you go through these briefly yourself. As I said earlier, I thought Spurs were very intelligent, and I thought City were timid, and it was a little bit away from their game plan. It'd be interesting to see whether Bernardo Silva, who was on the bench today against Palace, can come in for a second leg, because I think they'll need his legs. Yeah. Ajax 1, Juventus 1, I believe was the final score. I felt in that game that you like Ajax a little bit better than me.
Yeah.
I just thought in the end, I think that the nous of Juve is going to get them through. And United, no, Barca 1 was just not an accurate reflection on the performance. Let's be honest. Barca weren't great, but United were. By the way, United looked terrible the last few games. They were terrible again against West Ham. But Barcelona, I think, they're on their way to their first semi-final in 4 years.
Yeah, start with that one. Barcelona were in second gear. They cruised it. Disappointing from Manchester United. I thought they'd have had more of a go. I thought they just accepted a 1-0 defeat at home at Old Trafford, and maybe that tells you the gulf in class between the two teams. I expect Barcelona to score 2 or 3 at the Nou Camp, because it wasn't the best performance from Barcelona. I think they were shocked that Manchester United were so timid, so I thought we'll reserve some energy here. Ajax Juventus, very interesting. I'm loath to go against Juventus, who would, after that amazing performance against Atletico Madrid in the last round, but I think this is a really sticky one. I think they're playing maybe the worst team that they could play here at home in the second leg, even though they have the away goal and they have the draw from Amsterdam, because Ajax don't care. They're so fresh and exciting and stick to their game plan, what they do. Could it be 4-0 to Juventus in Turin? Absolutely. Could Ajax score 3 goals? I think so, KJ. I just think they're so exciting. So I don't know what to suggest with that one, but you would expect the experience just to get Juventus through. Spurs City was a weird game. Very tactical, very cagey. Two sides showing each other a lot of respect from the way that they're set up and obviously the quality of players that they have. I think Spurs just about did enough, and that was more the lack of ambition from City and the tentativeness from them. But I think City will just go through, and Liverpool Porto was like you said, KJ, very comfortable. And the only thing I think interesting about this game during the midweek is that how many changes will Klopp make? How bold will he be in terms of resting players? Because, they're still playing in a quarter-final of Champions League against a side in Porto who are there a lot of years and have experience. So I think he'll make some changes, but I think he might start pretty strong. Hope they get that away goal, then look to bring players off as the second half starts.
Moving on to CONCACAF, the 2019 Gold Cup draw happened this past week, and Canada has drawn Mexico, Cuba, and Martinique. They should get out of this group, correct? And if so, how far can this team go in the tournament?
Yeah, I like the group because I think it gives us one true heavyweight, which is nice to have, and it's different from the United States, which is coming in the Nations League anyway. So it just, what a test to play against the Mexicans, who are the best team by a mile in the CONCACAF region.
Yeah.
So I don't expect them to get anything from that game. Nobody would. That's fine. So go in like that, and that's fine. And then the other two games you should win. I think they should beat them. You never know you never go into an international tournament thinking you should win, but you know what I'm saying? They'll be expected to win those games. So I like to see the fact that they'll have expectations on their hands to see what they're going to do with that. Right. And after that, look, quarterfinals, you're right, Shawnee, that's going to be the bare minimum, I think, in terms of a requirement. And then we'll see what they can do, against what will likely be Costa Rica in the semis, in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect draw, KJ. I think that, John will be happy with the fact that they're playing Mexico and getting a test, and it's sort of like a free game, isn't it, when it comes in the group stage. So, he'll have them set up and try and be difficult to beat and have a game plan, of course, for what is the best team in the CONCACAF region. The other games are never easy. I think they're testy enough that it'll be interesting, Sean, so that'll be good. Yes, we expect them to come through. We expect them to be second, and then that's the key game. Probably Costa Rica in the quarterfinals. They need to win a big game. Mentioned this in the past, but they need to win a big game that actually matters to see a real progression with this team.
Yeah, it'd be tough. I mean, the other thing is they've got maybe Mexico in the semis again, which is a real difficult quirk of the draw.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
Why would they get them again?
Is that right?
Yeah, it's just, anyway. Probably some good reasons behind that I don't want to talk about here. We're still asking you to send in your Premier League best 11. Thanks so much for everyone to sending them in. We are one of us starting to put together our top 50. Stevie will get to his at some point.
Now, Sterling, Van Dijk. Okay.
If you haven't sent in yours yet, send them via Twitter using hashtag AskAFP, and we will have a chance, and you'll get a chance to win some KJ and Caldwell merch. Sean, what is the best one that you've seen from this week?
So there's a couple I got this week. Matthew just sort of mailed it in, but I appreciate it. He wants to clone Virgil van Dijk and just go with an 11-0 formation, focusing on defense.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Big Virgin net and up front?
Yeah, and up front.
Okay.
And then Koss put in a reasonable one, playing in 4-4-2 with Alisson in net, Robertson, Laporte, Van Dijk, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, with Hazard, Doucouré, Silva and Sterling, and then Aguero and Salah up front.
It's not
a bad team.
It's not reasonable, sorry. You can't have Eden Hazard, David Silva, Raheem Sterling, Sergio Aguero, Mo Salah in the team.
Not a lot of defending,
I'm sorry, it doesn't fit with my requirements. It looks like a bit like of an MLS best 11. Am I right? Poor Doucouré's got to do a lot of running, hasn't he?
Poor Doucouré. He's not exactly a deep
He's not even a defensive. Every credit cost. It's a nice team. It started off great, back four and goalkeeper. Probably a Liverpool fan. It looks really nice. But yeah, after that, sorry, not having that. It's too many attackers. You got to put somebody in there with a bit of legs. Tiger Woods is coming down the 18th. He's going to win this, isn't he?
Yeah, he's actually just laid up, and so I guess he can get a
I think
bogey.
Koepka missed.
Did he?
So
I don't know who's closest to him.
I don't think there's anybody.
I've been half concentrating on this show.
Yeah, so
but he's got this done, and it's just like the golf
an amazing day.
Like
the golf podcast, I always like listening to golf on the radio because like when it's really close,
great,
and you go to the guy on the green. I know we're going on a tangent here. Sorry, you go to the guy on the green, and he can't speak very loud, and he's like,
"It's amazing."
Tiger Woods has a putt for bogey here, 9 foot away, and it's like he whispers, and it's a great.
It increases the drama, doesn't it?
The drama is there. You talk about the crescendo. And then he goes, strikes the putt, and you wait for the crowd reaction.
I can remember listening to the golf driving back from Scotland to Newcastle. I think it was a Ryder Cup. I think it was actually the Ryder Cup where Leonard sunk the putt.
Oh yeah.
They were on the green,
all the
and
louts ran on the field.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was that moment. I was driving back, KJ, and it's so much more dramatic.
Yeah,
the whispering amazing. And talking about the putt and trying to visualise it. It was amazing.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of British Opens.
Try that sometime.
I've been to a couple of British Opens, and actually we all went as lads, and we actually had radios on, walking around listening to the radio, so you know where to go.
Brilliant.
So you can go,
follow who's on,
who's hot. Exactly. Yeah. So over to you, Shawnee, for hashtag AskAFP.
So if you want to ask us anything about golf or soccer, use hashtag AskAFP. We'll start with Tim. He asks if you both feel that top teams in the sport, in any league, get a better rub of the green.
Rub of the green?
Yeah.
Rub of the green. Perfect timing.
like that.
Better rub of the green from the officials in general terms. Do you think the foot of the table get a fair shake?
What a question that is.
It's loaded.
It is loaded. I don't know about whether it comes down to a bias over teams at the bottom. I don't know. Do we feel that top teams in sport get a rub of the... I would say that some officiating in some other sports is absolutely atrocious compared to our sport. Yeah. And our sport gets a lot of people battering referees, but some of the officiating in these NBA games or the NHL playoff games.
Awful,
it's just off I was watching a baseball game the other night where the home plate umpire just deliberately changed his home plate, his strike zone because he had an argument with the manager. And he struck out a guy and looking at the pitch and he changed the game and he wasn't even close. So that's what I would say. I think the officials in our sport that we're covering here on this podcast, not golf.
Is this a football podcast?
I think it is. I don't know. I forgot what we're doing now. But Tiger's getting close to winning the Masters. I mean, who saw that coming?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, KJ. I think sports soccer is one of the hardest sports to officiate as well. It's so dynamic. Some of the offside decisions that the assistant referees get right is absolutely incredible.
And I don't think it comes down to one team thinking
these
lower.
Guys are not biased.
No,
listen,
they've got enough to do, haven't they?
We've had discussions with Howard in the past. Howard Webb, one of the best referees of all time, certainly British referees, and you go through 10 years to get to that kind of level. Why would you be biased? You know, it's ridiculous. I don't agree with that at all. Are they influenced by personalities and figures in the game, shirts, teams? I think it's only natural. I think we sort of all are, but I don't think they do it on purpose by any stretch of the imagination. And I think by the end of a season or over a long period of time, Sean, it evens itself out.
Sven Den asks, Frankie de Jong and Matthias de Ligt are Ajax youngsters who were talked about the most. But what about Donny van de Beek, who's been huge in the midfield? Thoughts on what may hold for his future?
I think he's a fantastic player. Great question. And I think he's one of the best players to come out of that team. What a signing he'd be, by the way, for somebody. Works so hard. Great with 2 feet. Great vision. Big fan of his. And boy, oh boy, another example why the Dutch are going to be formidable in the Euros.
Yeah, terrific question because we both love him, and I know he's a wee bit under the radar because of Frankie de Jong and de Ligt, but he is terrific. He does everything really well, gets forward well, drifts into good areas, can put the ball in the back of the net. I don't know where he ends up. I always hope England. I just think Premier League's dynamic and it might suit his style of play, but a wonderful player and someone who's going to go for a lot of money, as are most guys in the squad, by the way. It's probably a 500 million quid team there Ajax have with the number of talent that they have. And you think even the guy Neres who scored against Juventus, he's one of the kind of tier 2 ones. He's about 40 or 50 million.
Paging Dr. Caldwell, Chris asks, is Kane's ankle injury something Spurs need to be worried about going forward? Should they try to convince him not to skip National League? Nations League, and rest him until August.
I think they will be trying to convince him of that, no doubt, because when you start to injure the same ankle or knee or even hamstring muscle a number of times, it becomes an issue. And I just think back to the amazing Marco van Basten and his problems with his ankles and with injuries. I think, or was it the back of his Achilles? It was something that just kept getting hurt. And with an ankle, it doesn't really go away. So, very worrying that he keeps picking up the same thing. And I think Spurs will be concerned about that. Not a lot you can do though once it gets damaged, Sean. You've got to just keep going and wrapping it up and trying to protect it. But a way that Harry Kane plays, how can you stop that? You need him to stay wholehearted and committed, otherwise he's going to take away a lot of what makes him great.
Friend of the podcast, Brendan Dunlop asks, what do you think of players that wear short sleeve shirts and gloves?
Just like something he would wear, wouldn't it?
He also wears snoods in charity games.
Oh, remember?
Yeah. So, I would imagine that you've never wore gloves in your professional career. Would I be right?
Yes, I think so. My kids always ask me this, they're obsessed with it. The boys think, because I tell them I never wore an Under Armour.
Right.
And I wore it in one game at Burnley. It was atrocious conditions.
And you played in a lot of bad conditions. You played in snow.
Yeah, a long one, KJ. It was up to here. And it was really wet. I don't think I wore gloves. I really don't, but I might have, because it was horrible. And it was pointless actually wrapping up, because it was so wet. Yeah. The minute you fell, you were just like a stone heavier because of the wet of the shirt. So it was actually better to wear less, but it was cold. Yeah. So I don't think so, no.
No, I'm not having them.
Don't like it.
Tom asks, on the basis of your Zlatan conversation last week, what is your take on a standing ovation for an incredible performance from an away player? An example he gave was Ronaldo's standing ovation in a Champions League match.
Yeah, I think that's a good example. I'm trying to think, would I ever give a standing ovation for an opposing player? It's tough. If you're really into that team, I think it's tough, mate. The Zlatan 500 goal was an exception. I think that MLS, these ones over here, it's a little bit difficult because fans are still a big fan of these players. They're superstars. They're coming over here these guys are world stars. So, and you're still falling in love with the team. So the trend is going up a little bit towards your love for the team that you're supporting, and the players has always been there. So, I understand there's Zlatan won the 500, but the Vancouver stuff last week, I just thought got a little bit out of hand. It was just, I understood what Felipe meant from a player at half time, but I just felt at the end of the day, as we covered it last week, that was the key. I
think when there's a moment like Ronaldo or Zlatan 500 I remember I was at St James's a long time ago when Michael Owen was breaking into the Liverpool team. He scored a hat-trick in the first half. You remember that one, KJ? Yes. And there was a lot of clapping. Standing ovation was a bit strong, but there was certainly a moment where people recognised we're watching a true superstar emerge onto the Premier League stage. And so I get the spontaneous moments, but I know why Felipe was mad, and not to go over it again, but it was because it was just a constant buzz around every time Zlatan touched the ball. I don't like that. Yeah. I like it when there's a moment, if it's an opposition player and you recognise that was greatness, to maybe have a little bit of clap, or you hear a kind of murmur in the stadium. I'm okay with that.
Speaking of greatness,
Tiger Woods just won the Masters. So
unbelievable.
We just sacrificed our time watching the Masters during the show. So I apologise for everybody out there who stuck with us all the way
People
through.
People who hate golf.
That hate golf.
They're here to listen
about football. We do apologise for that. And we will not end on the Masters. Please make sure to subscribe, rate and review. We are going to start reading them all on air, so send them in. Try Axton, is that how you say it, Shawnee?
I think so.
He said this week, 5 stars, quality, knowledge, passion and detail. That's what KJ and Caldwell offer. Amazing coverage of the Premier League and MLS. These guys know the game and they know broadcasting. A must listen for any football fan living in North America. Wow. That is really kind. Thank you very much. Thanks, Dragon. We appreciate the kind words. Next week, we're back on next weekend. Lots of games to cover. And until then, we promise next week we'll not talk golf. We will talk about the Premier League race, more stuff from the Major League Soccer, and maybe some more chat about gloves. Until next week, thanks for listening.
Thank you.